Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we are talking about how apes are winning, the proof of naked shorts, the massive buys, and many more in this video. Firstly, we're taking a look at this. Day 19, retail apes winning, where if you take a look at this in terms of where AMC's price is from the start of the month and how everything's going, you understand how we are beating these short sellers. You can see AMC started the month below $3 with the max paying of $3 and it had 0 in the money calls. Now, where we are right now, you can see July 18th, we are above max paying. We have 42,000 in the money calls and 4.2 million shares bought. Now, this is part of the thing that everyone's obviously been talking about. You can see by the flow, where we talk about how we are pressuring these short sellers. Now, of course, everyone by now should already understand the float situation with AMC. We understand that the float has been sold many times over. When we are buying into AMC shares, we are buying into synthetic shares that are being created and not real shares that are circulating, because the apes who have bought into AMC have not sold, they are holding onto their shares. And so the shares that we are seeing on the market right now are, of course, the very synthetics that they have created. But it's precisely because we are now buying up even more of the flow. We're forcing them to create more synthetics. You can already see how things are taking a change. Now, obviously, we have the fundamentals of AMC. We have the box office doing very well. But at the end of the day, what we have to understand is the fact that sentiment for AMC has been strong, always been strong. But of course, when you understand that what apes are trying to do, when you understand that we're pinpoint and we're pressuring the short sellers, the impact that we can have. And remember, this is with, of course, the sentiment when we take a look at AMC and GME, and sentiment is still at a very, very high. And for this, we talked about, this is talking about just market sentiment, but we've also talked about investor sentiment, where we are seeing, are people buying into AMC or not? And for both of those, we are seeing people positively talking about AMC. We are seeing people buying into AMC. And so that's the effect that people can have when we are pressuring the short sellers. And so this is why, once again, we are seeing AMC, of course, doing what we are. Now, you can ask, and you can obviously say that why, despite the fact people are buying the float, why is it that some days we are still seeing 2.82% down? Well, that's because despite the fact we are buying up these synthetics, despite the fact we are forcing these short sellers to create even more synthetics and drying up the liquidity, they are, of course, still abusing the dark pool. You can see nearly 70% of all trades hitting the dark pool abuse on a $3.50 stock, where if you take a look at the off-exchange usage, once again for AMC, it is at a very, very high. And now with data we've seen in the past before, I want to clarify why dark pool usage is extremely toxic for AMC. From data we've seen before, when AMC was going up 11%, when AMC was going up 9%, what was shown was that on the lit exchange, while there was buy orders, there were lots of big blocks of sell orders hitting the lit exchange. Now, trades that are hitting the lit exchange will have an impact on the price of this particular stock. So in this instance, the large block of sell orders will have impact on AMC by pushing the price down. However, the same will also go for if there were large blocks of buy orders in the lit exchange, it will obviously push the price of AMC up. But what was shown was that whilst the large blocks of sell orders were hitting the lit exchange, the big blocks of buy orders were actually rooted in the dark pool, where it then has no effect on AMC whatsoever. And so despite the fact we are seeing this people buying, despite the fact, there are so many apes that are constantly buying, there are institutions that are buying, we're still seeing sometimes AMC have red days because of the fact they are abusing dark pools, because of the fact they are rooting away all these buy orders. Therefore, it doesn't actually have impact on the price. And that's what's damaging the price of AMC. You can see AMC shares are traded in dark pools, aka off exchange, 76% of the time, because market makers don't have enough real shares. Instead, they create synthetic shares to artificially dilute the stock and sell shares of stock they don't own. So that is what they're doing. And so whilst we obviously have the power, and this isn't me to say that because they're abusing the dark pool, you shouldn't buy into AMC. Of course, this is not the reason, but it's understanding the fact that despite why we have been continuously buying AMC, the very reason why we are still seeing red days is because of reasons like this. It isn't because retails have suddenly decided to sell. It isn't because AMC is going through a bad fundamental stage, but because of the fact that these market makers, that these short sellers are of course abusing dark pool and manipulating the price of AMC. And you have to realize that shorts all come into this together. When you take a look at this, FINRA charges Susquehanna yet again for failing to accurately report trades. The fine, 100K, and so it comes to $1.35 per transaction. So once again, when you take a look at all of the institutions that are involved in shorting AMC, firms like Citadel, like Virtue, Susquehanna, Goldman Sachs, and all of these others, what you'll see is that oftentimes they've been fined for failing to accurately report trades, for mismarking trades, for abusing the market, exploiting the market, and many, many more. So you have to understand is that we are facing these exploits, we are facing these manipulation every single day. Now, of course, we need the regulations to take a bigger step forward. We need them to take bigger action, because just by charging them, and you can see this, $1.35 per transaction is clearly not impactful enough. Susquehanna easily makes more than $1.35 from these transactions, yet they only find this much. They're a company that makes hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. A 100K fine is going to do nothing to them. And so this is firstly showing the fact that once we are facing manipulation, but it's also showing the fact that the reason why they keep getting away with this is because regulations haven't done anything where it actually has an impact on these short sellers to stop them from committing these very things again. But here's where it gets interesting. Now, we've just talked about how regulations hasn't done anything, but now we're seeing how firms are taking it into their own hands, and this could potentially be the pivotal change. Now, the reason why I say this is because of this. A cautionary tale for market manipulators. Purely hypothetical, I'm sure, or is it? So this is from the CEO of Genius Group. That's a company that we've been talking about recently because of the fact they are putting a lawsuit against these naked short sellers. And you can see what they said. Most CEOs don't know that the trading data on their stock kept with DTCC and the brokers is unrecoverable if you don't track it in real time. But we've been tracking every trade together with all discrepancies pointing to illegal trades and spoofing. It costs us a lot, but we've been tracking since 2022. It's a mass of 1 billion data points, and up until now, it's being analyzed manually by our legal team. Companies like us are getting murdered over years, but as we keep gathering DNA, it's not a matter of whether we catch the crooks, but when. And so you can understand how this is pivotal. The reason why regulations hasn't done anything against these shorts is because no one has presented enough data to show the world just how impactful it can be. The shorts get slapped with a fine, and they said that this is a bad act which they've done, but they don't really mention the impact in which it has. But Genius Group, on the other hand, has been keeping track of these data. And now, the reason why I want to go more into this is because when you are able to present this data, when you are able to pinpoint the very fact that the naked shorts are the reason for why the company price is going down, or the fact that it's negatively impacting the company without any other fundamentals, and so it's purely just damaging the company without any context, then that's going to be something very, very big. But it's also what this can start. If this were to work, we are going to be seeing multiple companies obviously do the same thing. But also the fact that if this is going to work, we are going to be seeing companies being scared from doing these acts because they are worried about the fact that companies can keep tracked. And then it comes to the final thing, AMC, GME. And in this case, we'll talk about AMC, because if we are seeing this, and remember, they've been keeping track since 2022, and they're taking action now. Now, AMC could also be doing the same thing. You have to realize that it's obviously very, very difficult because you see this, CEOs don't know that the trading data on their stock kept with DTCC and the brokers is unrecoverable if you don't track it in real time. And so if AMC didn't start 2022, they will obviously have difficulty. But if they did, and we have to realize is that AMC is a bigger company than Genius Group. AMC is a company that has experienced more manipulation and suppression and naked shorting and spoofing from the these short sellers. And so they have more data in order to keep track of. And so whilst it may have only took Genius Group 3 years to obviously keep track of all of this, it may take AMC even longer. And we've seen it in the past with how Adam Aaron has been talking about, particular sets of data, how he talks about checkmate, how he talks about recently things that he can't talk about. And if this is the very thing that he can't talk about, if it's because of the fact he's been keeping track of the data, and again, going over the fact that Genius Group's done it, and they are doing it now, we could be seeing the same thing with AMC. Now, this isn't confirmed, but I'm saying in terms of what we could be witnessing. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching this video. I'll catch you guys next time.